Hi and welcome to my channel, the rocket scientist that review Lego classic space sets from the time period 1978 to 1987. Today we will review the Lego set 920 Alpha-1 rocket base. The rocket base was first released in 1978. It holds 187 bricks. Came with 3 minifigures, 2 white and 1 red as shown here. The 920 set is very popular among collectors of Lego Classic Space, and quite recently a friend of mine, he told me that he got this at Christmas, and he said that was one of his best Christmas gifts ever. So that tells you something. The set has the following things. It has, of course, a base. First of all, a control center here with a tracking antenna on top. Of course, the launch pad with the rocket and a satellite on the top. Then you have also a rover with a trailer with tanks containing or holding the rocket propellants. The set also includes this crater plate as shown here. Let's now discuss the design. I move this away and we can push this a little closer. Let's take a look first on the control center. Here you see a boxy house on some pillars here, so it's elevated from the ground, which I find very nice. A little stair here up to the control center, but no seating inside here. And when we have a peek inside here, you see these control consoles, the old style computer controls and screen, which I love so much. They are really good designs. And here they have this blue back color. Sometimes you can get this as gray, or later they came also with white, I believe. And you have windows with this nice yellow transparent color, which is a very good contrast to the blue color they used at the time period. The roof also is in this semi-transparent yellow color, same as the window, which is really nice detail. On top you have this tracking antenna, the telemetry antenna or radar antenna, whatever you want to call this. And this can elevate, as you see here, to this angle and back to horizontal. And you have full 360 degrees of freedom on the azimuth. Whip antenna here for, I guess, radio communication. Closest in the view here is 2 tub valves here. And 2 steering wheels, which act here as not for steering anything, but just to open and close the valve for feeding propellant into the rocket system here. Let's see if I can rotate a little here. The rocket is standing on inside this yellow plate perimeter here. A supporting boom that can be tilted down prior to liftoff of the rocket. And here the rocket leaves. Gray antenna pieces, they interact almost with the rocket, securing it partially. You have this nice rubber hose detail here, again connected with 2 of these tub valves, or what it's called in English. The rocket is quite typical for the time period. You found this type of rocket in several sets. You have this cylindrical brick and that are just simply stacked together, and you have a conical part on the top there and a conical part on the bottom here to resemble the nozzle. Tilt the camera a little up here so you can see the top part here, and that is the satellite sitting here with an antenna and some green and red colored bricks there. What I also liked on the launch tower is these two cylinders here in red and green, which are blinking light or beacons. Later I plan to integrate electrical lighting to this. I've been experimenting a little. Maybe in the future I will provide a video on how it will be looking, and it just looks amazing. Lights installed. In the view here we have the rover or truck. Very simple design, very similar to the space buggy. This one has fenders here to protect the astronaut and equipment from contamination. You have the classical gas cylinder, steering wheel, and an antenna for communication. And as a nice detail, you have a control console brick in gray here. Maybe to simulate that you can operate the tank trailer here. This we have seen before on the mobile rocket launcher. Good gimbal connection there. And here we have the trailer with two rubber hoses and two cylinders representing the propellant tanks. Also here a steering wheel for simulating a propellant valve. And do this so you can see how you can kind of connect it to the valves of the rocket launcher. Then you take out this tube there, or hose, sorry, and you just squeeze it in there. And then Mr. Astronaut can just open the valve and you can simulate that the propellant is flowing over here and into the rocket complex. I must mention that I never had this set myself, so this is something I just dreamt about when looking into Lego catalogs. Here you see the crater plate and the biggest crater coming into view here. And I must say I'm really still in love with this crater plate. It's so fantastic design. Yeah, very simple appearance on the control center there. And here you see the antenna, the rocket there. In respect to design, I will give it a 6. Full score. I think that is well deserved. It's so great design with so much to do here. Mobile antenna, nice colors, rocket with a satellite, a launch pad. You have the rover with the propellant tanks. Yeah, a lot. Respect to playability. Will not elaborate too much about on that. It's a full score, 6 of 6. You have all these elements to play with. So here you can operate rocket launches, repair them, fill it with propellants, track the rockets and satellites. Yeah. Baltic Force, full score. I said I didn't have the set, but I have of course known about it for years from pictures. I never had my hands on it, so this is actually the first I had ever owned and operated. Could this be a model you would build? Well, yes and no. The no part is that the physical distance from the rocket on the launch pad here and the command center is very short. Of course, it's doable. You could have it at this short range, but then you need really strong structure on this building, because when the rocket engine ignites, even then when it's operate normally, it creates a supersonic jet, flame coming out here, and if it's in atmosphere, you will create sound waves, which are, in other words, pressure the medium here on the structures, and that will shake and vibrate and even make structure fail. Worst so is if the rocket would explode due to a malfunction. You have a major explosion here, you have fragments going with very high speed in all directions here. Or this rocket fail for some reason, you have a significantly loss on the thrust, for example, and maybe some issue with the steering system. The rocket could also collide into part of the structure here. So that's a very dangerous position to be sitting so close. Can be done, but then you have to have a really good bunker here. The other thing is when you have the telemetry antenna, we receive data from the spacecraft, the satellite, and the rocket. We'll have to follow the rocket, and this has some means to do that by elevation and azimuth direction, but it's very close to the rocket. Normally this type of antenna should be sitting at a really good distance, and because the vertical or the angular velocity here that this has to do in the beginning here is quite fast due to the movement of the rocket being very close. So this would normally sit on a physical distance further away from the complex here. This is okay. This is sometimes needed to have an umbilical arm which interfere with the rocket at various locations. Typically it could be fluid connections and electrical connections, which has to be pulled out prior to launch. So they are disconnected by this moving back, and now the rocket can fly. I don't see any means how to erect the rocket to this position, so I guess when this rocket has flown and you want to put up another rocket, something has to transport it in and arrange it so it can be placed here. And there is no crane here or vehicle for that. The tank truck part is okay. It's nothing wrong with this. Could be done with like this. I guess it's a little small size on the tank steer. Normally you would have more volume here than compared to what you need in the rocket, so you have some extras. It's always good because the filling procedure may fail. And there could also be tanks stationed in some proximity to the base here. So yeah, in respect to realism for the rocket part, I think it's okay. The umbilical is good, a little too close maybe for this type of building, if we were going to build this. And here you see the crater plate from above. Really, really nice. Coming back here to the rear side. Yeah, but what a wonderful piece. Let's have a look on the instruction. I have that also. Here I have the instruction. It's a bigger piece, almost like a, yeah, is it a A4 size front cover? What a beautiful picture with something that looks like Jupiter in the rear part there. You have the rocket being prepared. You have one guy operating the fueling operation, using a tool there to help open the valve, which may have stuck a little. Commander maybe coming in with his rover, and you have also the computer screen as shown in the top part of this. Open up, and you start by assembling the figures and then going straight over to 6 steps there on making the rover. Then you, on following page, you start building the trailer, the tank trailer. And next page you start assembling the base. And this is something I recall that this could be a little tricky. You had to really pay attention so you got these pieces at the correct position. Here you see it's indicated, maybe it's hard to see in the camera, but they are white-ish here, where you have to plug in the bricks here. But yeah, you needed to pay attention and count the studs down, so you were sure that you had them aligned correctly, or placed correctly, sorry. When that's done, it's a fairly easy build for the most part. Yeah. And here you are on step 9 on the base, and you also start to see some assembly instruction for the satellite and rockets coming up. Here you see the rocket and satellites, and then over to the telemetry antenna, and then you finally have a Alpha-1 rocket base. What a beauty! What a fantastic kit. Very beloved by Lego space enthusiasts around the world. And here you see the final or last page of the brochure. You see, let's sum up. For design, I gave it a score of 6, playability a score of 6, for nostalgia a score of 6, so 18 there. Rocket design score, I have given it a 5, so all in all 23. So it's equal to the LL-918 spacecraft and the mobile tracking station. Okay, if you like my channel, please consider subscribing, and as always, if you agree or disagree to my comments or have questions, do not hesitate to write me comments on my videos. And remember, this is just for the fun of it. There's nothing any serious here, other than it's Lego space. That's serious enough, of course. So, okay, thank you and bye for now.